In a constitution is written document which ensures that the right of citizens are protected whether it comes to individual level. Right of citizens are protected. Right of citizens are protected. Listen, which ensures that the right of citizens are protected. Citizens are protected whether it comes to individual level or at a community level. Part 3 Constitution covering with fundamental rights at both individual and community levels. Individual right to equality 14 to 18 equality. Individual rights right to freedom Article 19 to 22. Community rights right to freedom of religion at 25 to 28. Community rights cultural and education rights. Community rights 14 to 22. Individual rights 25 to 28, 25 to 30. Cultural and education rights right to freedom of religion. The recent development of dynamics of society and polity in the nations. Development of society, dynamics of society and polity in the nations. Pronouncement of judicial decisions. Pronouncement over issues related to fundamental rights. Decision over issue. It appears that Indian judiciary has given more primacy to individual rights. Has given more primacy to individual rights over community rights. Indian Parliament judiciary given priority to individual rights rather than over community rights. Individual rights. Indian Young Lawyers Association versus State of Kerala. Sabrimala case. Judiciary seems to have favored individual rights of women for entry into sanctum or sanctorium over community rights of religious group, denying entry of women over community rights of religious groups, denying entry of women. For judiciary seems to have favored individual rights of women for entry into the sanctum or sanctum over community interest of religious groups, denying entry of women. Other case, in famous case over the right to privacy, Supreme Court put prominence on individual rights over community rights. Individual rights by putting three level litmus test in Puttaswamy judgment. Three level litmus test in Puttaswamy judgment. भारतीय मुस्लिम महिला आंदोलन केस. मुस्लिम महिला भारतीय मुस्लिम महिला आंदोलन केस. हाजी अली दरगाह केस. द बॉम्बे हाई कोर्ट फेवर्ड फॉर द एंट्री ऑफ वुमेन इन दरगाह श्राइन. आंदोलन केस. हाजी अली दरगाह केस. द बॉम्बे हाई कोर्ट favored for the entry of women in the Dargah shrine, which was earlier banned for religious groups. Muslim Mahila Andolan case. Favored the entry of women in Dargah shrine, which was earlier banned by the religious groups. Triple Talaq judgment. The inclination of apex court towards the individual liberty and autonomy of women displays its favor towards the individual rights of women over the religious rights of a particular community. Over the religious rights of women, over the religious rights, individual rights of women over the religious rights of a particular community. Inclination of apex court towards individual liberty. Women displays its favor towards the individual rights. Favor towards the individual rights of women over the religious rights of a particular community. Religious right of the pole court, the apex court towards the individual liberty and autonomy of women displays in its favor. Denial. Exemplar community rights are prevailed over individual right. Denial of mining rights. to individual company in Niyamagiri Hills. Denial of a mining rights to individual company. Niyamagiri Hills of Odisha prevailing of rights of Gram Sabha of tribal community in the region. Prevail the rights of Gram Sabha of a tribal community in the region. Sikho movement where community rights of people demanding the preservation of forest were kept and the government had to step back due to the public protest. Sikho Andolan, the community interest dominated and community rights of the people demanding the preservation of forest were kept in mind. And the government had to step back due to the protest. Implication on Indian polity. Indian democracy is evolving vibrantly with time with increasing awareness of citizens. Indian democracy is evolving vibrantly with time. Awareness citizens on their individual rights. Thus, the interpretation of the Constitution by the judiciary. Over the period ensures individual rights are not subdued under the burden of religious or social pressures. The nation treads on the path of liberal democracy. Supreme Court in 2013 case over the bifurcation of state. Constitution is like an ever-evolving tree. Takes its own course with passing of time. This recent tilt of its judgment towards individual rights over community rights displays the same nature of the Indian Constitution. Recent tilts of the judgment towards the individual rights over the community rights. Individual rights over community rights. Individual rights over community rights displays the same nature of the Indian Constitution. Constitution is like an ever-evolving tree with passing of time. The recent tilt of its judgment towards individual rights, community rights display the same nature of the Indian Constitution. Pronouncing the judgment case over the bifurcation of the state, Supreme Court. Constitution is like an ever-evolving tree. The caution should be taken while pronouncing the judgment that over interference in community rights should breach social cohesion in the community itself, but harmony be maintained in the community for the overall peaceful atmosphere in the nations. Harmony be maintained in the community for overall peaceful atmospheres. Caution should be taken while pronouncing the judgment that over interference in community rights, community rights should not breach social cohesion. Doctrine of essentiality applied by the Supreme Court.